Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Buckeyes of all ages, you are now tuning into the Boomcast. Introducing first, it's your host, NFL vet, Buckeye legend, Daniel Boom Herron. Accompanying him is the Boom Squad. First up, from the presidential penthouse, we got former coal miner, fitness industry expert, Mr. Cory Gregory. Over here at the Tyler Sports Zone, we have Athens' very own Tyler Treadway. Then we got Philo's very own Mr. Tyler C. Lever. And then, of course, here's the doghouse. I'm the graphic gangster Cole Susak. To my right is the king of Web3 Trayvon the Air. And you are now tuning in to the Boomcast. The Boomcast is brought to you by Max for Muscle and Sam Adams Beer. Let's go to the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Boomcast. We got a star-studded cast in the building. This is my man right here, leader of the Boom Squad, Cole Susak. Introduce the Boom Squad for us.
Hello, this is the Boom Squad. Over here, we got the Tyler Sports Zone, Miss Athens' very own Mr. Tyler Treadway, Mr. Tyler C. Lever, the king of Web3 Trayvon the Air. I'm the graphic gangster.
And I'm your boy, Cory G. We got Buckeye great running back Chris Beanie Wells in the house today. We got national champion and best tweeter of all time, Cardale Jones. And we got my co-host, Daniel Boom Herron. And today, we're going to talk about the top 10 running backs from 2000 to present. Yes. We don't want to get it twisted because the first thing Beanie said is Eddie ain't on this list.
Right.
So from 2000 to present, and obviously we'll do some honorable mentions because RG won 2 Heisman, so it just is what it is, right? But I think this is an interesting ChatGPT.
So working off the last episode, obviously we did the top quarterbacks of the 21st century. So with the help of AI, we combined and made this table of ranking of all the running backs since 2000 to now. So this list is pretty interesting because there's some guys ranked above some that might not work. But here, let me get on the list. At number 1, this is what AI said, not us. This is AI, us against AI. Number 1, we got Zeke at 3,961 rushing yards. Number 2, J.K. Dobbins. 3, they got Maurice Clarett. 4, Carlos Hyde. Over top of number 5, Mr. Beanie Wells. 6, Pittman. 7, Mike Weber. 8, Boom. 9, Jordan Hall. 10, Brandon Sane. 11, Master Teague. And 12, Travion Henderson.
So we're going to swing straight to Beanie. Beanie, when you think Beanie been really studying this list. They've been really studying this list. And because you was ahead of Boom in the order, right? So
as he should have been, though.
Yeah, as he should. No, meaning just you were older, you was there, right? So it's what do you think when you just hear just off the top, not even looking at the list, top 3-4 guys in the 2000s, excluding yourself? You could rep yourself. Yeah, motherfucker.
You got to rep
if you want. But you know what I'm saying? Where are other guys that you're damn, this dude was great?
Oh, man. A lot of these guys obviously, are great in their own right. A guy that is probably one of my favorites on his list. Obviously you look at Clarett. You look at his 1 year, what he was able to do. I think a lot of us would have liked to saw him pit it all together for 3 years because we know he'd have been a 3-year guy if everything worked the way that it went. But, J.K. Dobbins, J.K. was serious.
I know. We just talked about that before.
And I think a lot of people forget that at one point in time, it was J.K. and Mike Weber splitting reps, and he still was able to go out and have the impact in the numbers that he had in only 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's impressive as hell to me.
Yeah, J.K. does get a little bit lost in the talking points. So when you see him up this high, you got to remind people this dude is a dog.
Right.
Big time. What do you think, Cardale?
For sure. I think you look at the top 5 on our list. And can I say a list?
Beanie, can you move the mic a little closer too? Thanks.
I would shuffle it around a little bit. I played with 2 of these guys. But I think, Ezekiel to me is the best player I ever played with overall, period. Not because of his running ability, because how hard he plays without the ball and his knowledge of the game. That's why I say he's the best player I ever played with. But J.K. is definitely up there. But if you look at the bottom half of this list, I know it's supposed to be in top 10, but AI gave us 12.
Exactly.
I was also thinking we could rank him in who's the first 2 out, so we could do that. Too.
Okay, the first 2 out in this list, easy. Boone and Master.
Hey, that was too easy.
And I think Master for me with this list will be one of the first guys out, not because what he wasn't able to do anything like that. He's a great player, got a great record versus the team up north. played X amount of years for the Buckeyes, left it all out on the field. But when you think of running backs at Ohio State, you usually think of the big plays. Yeah. That's what usually stands out the most, right? Jordan Hall return versus Team Up North, right? Boom, some of the things you did versus Team Up North. Beanie, the big run, and then 1 versus 2, right? Brooker Wright from, I think, like 60, 50 yards, something like that. Zeke, the Alabama, right? JK against, the team they played in Dallas. Who they played in the bowl game in Dallas? They played in USC or USC, right? They played USC in Dallas and Cotton Bowl, right? If I'm not mistaken. So some of those type of things and I think Travion will be out for me right now as well because
they don't have that big moment.
Not yet. I mean, freshman All-American, great back. Expected some amazing things out of him this year, but we're talking about guys that put together a career. Now, if we say like, okay, at the end of all these guys' careers, and Maurice will probably be out for me as well. And that sounds crazy because when we think about a career, we think about longevity and we think about the guy that's not able to do it, not just one time, but another time and another time and another time, right? Travion was banged up on last year, right? Teague dealt with some injuries. Maurice, with his situation that 1 year he had, who else on this list might have been cut short?
I think Pitt needs more love, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, like I want to hear y'all talk about that because Pitt's a dog. I mean, Pitt is a dog.
Like I don't even know if people remember, man. You go back to 2005, right? It was probably like 7 games in before Pitt had his first touchdown. Now, we talking about a guy who was running for 100-yard games, but when they got to the red zone, they was pulling him out. Brandon Schnicker was going in there running back.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Brandon Schnicker was going in there running back. So there was, 25 yards in, he's coming out the game. That's a lot of yardage that he could have had, a lot of touchdowns that he could have had in his career that he doesn't have because of that 1 year that he wasn't getting it. So that's a big thing, right?
Know that.
Exactly. People overlook that, overshadow him. His sophomore year was a beast, his first 1,000-yard year, but shit, if I get to the red zone and I'm coming out, I'm like, man, what is this? The Pete Johnson years? Come on. We can't be doing that.
Yeah. That's bullshit.
So Pitt was definitely a beast.
And you got to think, Pitt went back-to-back years over 1,000 yards.
Right.
Not everybody on this list can say they did that. You know?
Right.
So he's definitely one of those guys that's like –
Pitt's just a grinder too,
yeah,
bro. Like I see even when he trained at old school for years, he's just in here getting it. Like after a long shift at the fire department, like he's just that dude.
That's him. He's a worker. And then you talk about 1,000-yard back-to-back years. Hell, the next year I came and stole 100 carries. So it's like, imagine if he was getting the carries like a lot of us had gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, his numbers would be well above a whole lot of other people's for sure.
Yeah, that's well said. One of the guys that kind of gets lost for me here is Weber and Carlos Hyde both. Like there's so many great backs that have come through, including the two of you guys sitting here, that those are two guys that even though Carlos played a long time in the league too, or like at least 5, 6, 7, 8 years, like he was around for a minute. I don't know a lot about Mike Weber, but it's like these guys had good numbers, but they're guys that they kind of, to me, don't stand out a whole bunch with when you look at all these absolute studs.
Mike Weber was another guy who shared a lot of carries with J.K. Dobbins as well too. So he's another guy. It's like if he got more opportunities, he probably could have had a bigger cash. So
it's more like a bowling ball to me, Mike. I mean, he had that breakaway speed. He can do some things in the open field, but when they were splitting those reps, I think a lot of his things got overshadowed because. He getting his few carries on the drive, take him out for a breather, you dump it off to JK or, inside zone, and he take it the rest of the way. You're just like, oh, who's this guy, So, I mean, you guys know how it is. You guys actually played together and was, splitting some type of significant reps in those type of situations. It's like, it's always you want what's best for that guy, but you just like, man, if I stayed in one more play, or like, call that play for me then, So I can only imagine being a running back and having another great 2-3 backs, that's in the rotation in that whole type of scenario. So
it's funny.
Boom, when you came in, you
didn't
care to Beanie was there.
Hey. I was about to say, it's funny that you say that because obviously I knew it was definitely Beanie's show. But it'd be times be like, dang, man, like, he tired now. Like, he get in the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, but, like, we definitely fed off each other. I mean, if he got going, he's like, all right. Yeah. Let me get some of that. You know what I'm saying? That's looking real good out there. Like, let me get some of that. So, yeah, for sure. I get what you're saying.
The saying with coaches, they would say when it comes to running backs, you want a pair and a spare. You know, so you want 2 solid ones you can count on, but you make sure you have that third one as well, just in case injuries, fatigue, whatever the case may be. And I think you look at the current Buckeyes now. You know, they deal with a lot of injuries this past year with Travion and then
Maya,
you're right, it was banged up, and then out of nowhere you see the emergence of Dylan Hayden after the Maryland game, and then you see Chip, and they're like, who is this guy?
Right.
Where did he go from? And things like that, and then not even to mention the injuries to Evan early on in the season. So,
and that's crazy how that's gonna play out.
Yeah,
he a dog. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I would never share any conversations privately that I've had with coaches or anything like about just potential and guys, stuff like that. But trust and believe, they got 5 guys in that room who can start almost anywhere in the country. Right? But they all accepted their roles and knowing that, you know, their time is going to come sooner rather than later.
Real quick with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean, they're completely inaccurate.
Oh, super inaccurate.
Yeah.
So for you guys at home watching, if you try to get ChatGPT to whatever it's called, to write your papers, I don't know if you want to do it. I mean, it says September 2009, notable performances under my name. Texas, right? I'm sorry, September 9, 2006. I had 2 carries versus Texas that year. So ChatGPT is so inaccurate.
I told you, we were just getting notes.
That's going to be a great clip for Twitter.
Yeah, 100%. Yo, so, all right, Cardale, I want to know because, you know, during that national championship, that playoff run, I was like a sophomore or junior in high school.
Stop saying
and
that
I just remember, like, Zeke just absolutely taking off and going over that game. Like, he solidified. He was that fucking dude.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what was the first thing you saw Zeke do where you go, oh, this dude's different?
I mean, I knew it from the beginning, like I said, not because of what you guys see, because how hard he played without the ball. I think what really allowed Zeke to take off the way he did, and a few other of those guys, I think a guy like Devin Smith, I don't think Devin Smith get drafted as high as he did without those last few games, right? Because he showed, I mean, clearly over his career, he showed that he was a deep ball threat, right?
I fuck with Devin Smith, man. He's a ball.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, the way we was able to consistently do it through that 3-game stretch, I think really put him on notice to be one of the guys that was drafted early on in the receiver room. And I think that also with that threat of Devin and those guys downfield on a more consistent basis, I think it gave Zeke more opportunity to have success in the running game because now you can't load the box. You know, I will argue if you was – one thing we always do is self-scout. So if we're looking at that 14 season, I'm the team up north, I'm getting ready for Ohio State. I'm saying we got to stop the run. You got a running back with over 1,000 yards thus far. You got a quarterback on pace to win the Heisman, who's doing it on the ground and in the air. But usually the way JT was killing you in the air because our run game was smoking hot. Right. So I'm stacking the box. Now you got a guy, a quarterback that's not used to running as much, right? He loved to throw it downfield.
Who's that guy?
It's me.
I just want to know you. Of course I know it's you.
But now you got a guy. Now you got a guy that love to take shots downfield, right? And with a receiver and a threat that is known for that, right? He has the most, I think, 25 or 35-yard TD catches in college football history, right? Or by far in Ohio State history. So now what am I doing? Well, I can't get with the big plays, right? So I got 2 guys back deep now for our safeties, and now that gives one less guy in the box. Blocking angles a little bit better. One less got to beat, or I got my full head of speed. Now I'm at the safety. By the time he's dropping back in his coverage, now he look up and try to read his run fit. Oh my God, Ezekiel is in full speed, and he's in front of me in 3 yards. So I think that also opened up some running opportunities, but you can't take away from what he was able to do with the ball in his hands, no matter how many people was in the box. But I think it definitely made his job a little bit. Yeah, I think it made his job a little bit more easier. And then when he got the run game going, they put that extra guy in the box, made my job a little easier. So it just all works in sync.
I appreciate that breakdown. I think you need a broadcasting deal. Trayvon. It was amazing. It was because when you think about that, your threat of slinging it made their defense completely different, which opened up for Zeke.
Yeah, you
one less guy against Zeke
but that's football, though. You want to do your best to take away what they do well.
Yeah, that's great. Go ahead, Trayvon.
Yeah, so like I have to go off the bias of like what I was able to watch like in high school and everything too. So like Ezekiel Elliott and J.K. Dobbins for sure are my number 2. But so like obviously like Zeke, watching him run the ball, like he was that dude that you could see like he was not going to get stopped, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, Zeke was definitely the most entertaining to watch, but definitely, like, the best running back that I think was definitely J.K. Dobbins, because I think what he was able to do, like, in a career, like how Beanie said, like, in a career over a length of time, like 3-0 against Michigan, all the rushing yards, too. Like, I think J.K. Dobbins is my number one for sure.
Like a 2,000-yard season, that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, right.
Especially at Ohio State. I mean, because typically we always got that number 2 back, and we're giving them a significant amount of carries. So to be able to do that, I'm with you.
But you gotta remember too though with Zeke. But I kind of see where you're standing from as well. But you gotta remember with Zeke as well. Zeke had a year with Carlos. Zeke had a year. Rod Smith was taking over some of those backs, and then our last year, Dontre Wilson was a running back, and Curtis Samuel, and some of the things we did out of the backfield with Jalen Marshall and Braxton Miller.
Yep.
So we were talking about his yards that was probably stolen away from him as well, some carries and stuff. That played a huge impact in it as well, just like all these guys though. So
Zeke was must watch TV though. Anytime he was playing, I mean, it's a guy I'm going to the TV to see. Yeah, exactly. Because you want to see big plays, you want to see the highlight runs, and one of the things that's I think underlooked when you talk about Zeke, I think you hit on a little bit, is how he plays without the football. Zeke would just straight up knock the shit out of people blocking. And that's something that I love to see for the running backs.
Blocking, pass game, understanding when and how fast he can get out on routes, understanding the blitzes, understanding where his eyes should be. All those things are so – it's not a stat. High. Yeah, it's not a stat you can kind of say, oh, look how many times he was right on a blitz protection. Right. Or look how fast he got on this because he knew this guy wasn't coming because of rotation and stuff like that. Like Zeke, he made my job a lot easier when I was thrown into that fire.
Is he a vocal guy, Cardale?
He can be. Yeah. I think he's not a vocal guy when it comes to like, hey guys, let's get this up. But he's more vocal on like, he knows what everyone is doing. Zeke is like a quarterback out there as well. No, you have guys out there trying to fake blitz, trying to throw you off, and it may bring your eyes over there as a quarterback for half a second, and Zeke's like, oh, he ain't coming. Look at the red safety. Right. Oh, yeah, you're right. Let's go. Like little things like that.
I also remember Zeke was like a hell of a good like pass blocker and shit too.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, his philosophy, I guarantee you, is like, shit, I'm going to hit you because you try to hit me.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. So,
because, if you think about like Braxton's spin move against Virginia Tech, if you're watching the background, Zeke lays that fucking
blowing somebody up.
Man, the dude, think about like his freshman year, he's running out on kickoff, and he laid a guy out in Purdue, man. And it's just like, what is going on?
Anytime you got a guy that's a special teamer that goes on in his career and develops to a consistent player, he's going to be a beast, because to be a special teamer and a productive one, your mentality got to be completely different.
Nate Ebner.
You got to be different. You got to be different. And I'm far from soft, but that's one thing I would never play special teams.
Go down on
we seen you block before.
We
seen you block before.
I can block though. I can block, but listen though, it's still mind blowing to me. Hey, let's kick the ball off on a return team, right? I'm gonna run back, make sure he secure the ball, and then as I'm turning around, there's a 200-something pound guy running full speed, and he's 7 yards away from me at that point.
Yeah,
and he's been running full speed for about 40 yards,
and I gotta block him. Right,
I'll be chop blocking. I'll be getting fined, kicked out the lid. I'll slip, hit you right in the thighs, flip you. Yeah. Like, no, I don't think I want that.
I don't think people understand. Zeke was definitely the complete back, because being a runner, okay, that's the easy part of playing running back. Like understanding and knowing how to pick up a blitz and read blitz and all those different things, that's when you like find out if this guy's a real complete running back.
Well, and I think these are things that the Boomcast brings out, because I never even heard that about Zeke before. Like all the stuff that I've consumed content-wise, like what Cardale just shed is amazing to hear, because then you realize how much of a pro he really is.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
And the great thing about it as well, like I said before, I would never share conversations with coaches, especially with current guys now, but I guarantee you there's some guys that share a lot of those similar traits in that running back room now. We look at the season getting ready, I think that's the most exciting room on a team to me right now, and I know that's the room that I'm gonna look forward to watching, because it's so much competition in that room. We get overshadowed recently with the receivers and quarterbacks and stuff like that, especially the quarterback battle between Kyle and Devin. But, man, those guys are going to be splitting hairs for carries, in my opinion, this year, because you can't go wrong with none of those guys.
It's almost like the old days a little bit, meaning like the room, a pit, YouTube,
100%.
like that's you know what I'm saying?
That's what we're gonna lean on the run game a whole lot more. I mean, obviously, Ryan Day likes to put the ball downfield. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., but the fact of the matter is you got an inexperienced quarterback, and you do have other unknowns, especially on the offensive line. Use both of your tackles, protecting the quarterback's edge. You're gonna have to rely heavily on running the football this year, and I think they're gonna do it with not just 3 but 4 of those guys because they all can run the damn thing.
Yeah, I think, man,
they all bringing something to the table.
They all bringing something special to the table, and then I think with the emergence of and the creativity of Xavier Johnson coming out the backfield and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, as a coordinator, as a coordinator and quarterback at this time in Ohio State right now, you gotta, like, how do you sleep at night? Like, thinking of so many cool ways to get these guys involved because you only can double 2 guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And you already know who the guys are going to get doubled. Like, you look at the receivers, then you look at the running back. You're going to have at best, the 3rd best defender on Xavier Johnson come out the backfield. Or Jalen Ballard at receiver, or Julian Fleming at receiver. You're going to have the 3rd best defender on your team guarding those guys.
And let's not forget.
My God. Like,
we got a good tight end, too. You know
let's not forget those guys. And there's 3 great ones in that room right now.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot of fun to be had this season, I think, on the offensive side of the ball. It's definitely starting at the running back position.
Sea Lover.
Man, I wish I was saying something new and keep it exciting, but I got to go with Zeke also, just because of the recency bias as well, and somebody that I definitely remember watching and all these different plays. And I mean, you talk about the 2014 season, and just that alone, it was such an epic season. And so I remember almost every game and so many breakout plays, especially the Big Ten championship game, like keeping 0 on the board for Wisconsin. Like, you look at their run game, it was shut down, and then their performance to put up 59 points in that game against them, and Zeke's performance, and then go the next game, like that basically was a national championship game. And Zeke's performance, as well as everybody else, but like 80 yards or 85 yards, I still remember them saying that through the heart of the Alabama defense. I got to go number 1, Zeke for me.
I mean, the guy had to play great. We didn't have a freaking quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was our 3rd string quarterback. We were like, "Who's this guy?" Trevor was a hater. He was like,
I think I rushed for like 80 yards. I'm just joking.
So good.
All right, so I want to give you guys 3 running back performances against Michigan. So everybody always compares, how great was your success at Ohio State to how you performed against Michigan. Unfortunately, Boom's 98-yard record-breaking touchdown was called back. So sorry,
Thank
Boom.
God.
it was still 89 yards, though.
98?
No, I'm saying they still counted it for.
For an 89.
okay.
Don't leave that out. I'm just saying.
Clear that up real quick.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the result versus Michigan, the score, and then the statistics, and you guys tell me which one you think is the best overall performance, and then I'll let you know which running back it was. All right, so first off, we have 211 yards, 4 touchdowns at Michigan when Michigan was number 10 in the country, and they had 211, 4, and the Ohio State won 56-27. So it was a blowout. Blowout win. Okay, number 2, 214 yards. 2 touchdowns, and a 42-13 Ohio State win. Michigan wasn't as good that year. And then number 3, it was a career high, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 14-7 victory.
You're saying who was the
who out of those 3? So we had
read them off one more
we
time.
Yeah, I can tell you those.
We had I figured you would know. Yeah. So we had a 222 yards. All 3 are victories. So 222 yards, 2 tuds, and a 14-7 close game.
Yeah.
We had 214 and 2 and a 42-13.
Yeah.
And then we had 211, 4 tuds, and a blowout at Michigan when Michigan was number 10.
Beanie?
So I'm going to go, the last one was Zeke.
The last one, the 211, 4 tuds.
Was high.
Was JK.
Was
Yeah,
it
the
JK?
14. I'm taking the performance from the 14-7 game.
Yeah.
That was
taking
yours
it.
truly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to guess the other. No, I'm taking that. As
Yeah. So that was
Because that was a real game.
Yeah, that was Beanie's in a 14-7 victory. You had career high 2
222.
222 and 2 touchdowns.
222.
Hey, but you had all the touchdowns in the game.
Yeah.
Right? So every possession.
Beanie beat Michigan.
Yeah, Beanie single-handedly
That
beat
was a
Michigan.
banger of a game.
Yeah,
too.
talk about it, Beanie.
And the reason why I'm taking that game, like you said, it's a banger of a game. And other two games are good, but blowouts. But usually you're playing against lesser talent at that point. Everybody in the pool, and you just run up the score, you pattern the stats. Now I know I got to stop the run game because they're up 14-7. I got to stop the run game, and you didn't do it. So it's a lot of factors that plays into some of those grinding out yards, some of those stats. Like some of those stats are padded, and some of the stats are like, okay, no, this was starters was in 24/7, right? And we had to make it happen.
We jammed it down the throat with Beanie Wells.
It was wet. It was raining that game. It was Lloyd Carr's last game, and I think they had announced that going into it. So it was a lot on the line in that game. And that Michigan was trying to get a little bit of redemption from their earlier loss that year that they had to Appalachian State.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
It was a lot of
The worst
adversity for them
upsets
dudes
ever.
that year. So they were, trying to get some get back, and we had just beat them last year in the 1 versus 2 matchup.
Yeah.
So
And then you sent Lloyd Carr off on a loss.
Man,
We got him up out of there.
yeah. Hey, but I had off Lloyd Carr. He is the best coach in Michigan history. in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. So how did that Beanie to be relied on that heavily in a game of that nature, coming off the 1 versus 2 being an amazing game too, knowing because Troy's gone, right? This is obviously your show,
Right.
Like, how did that feel?
I mean, it felt good. I mean, I think in the moment you just trying to ball and just be productive and help your team in any way you can. But once you step back and you look like, oh yeah, I wanna, run it for even more.
Yeah.
But just knowing the magnitude of the moment, how close it was. I mean, it was great for me.
Do you get to the point like give me that motherfucker?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Especially,
you know what I'm saying? Like, give me that motherfucker.
Man, late in the game, it was cold, wet, and rainy. And I love playing those games because motherfuckers don't want to tackle.
No.
So
They don't want to tackle your
do
big
not
ass.
want to tackle when it's like
Hell no.
Yeah, so-
every time your ass walks in here, I think, how the hell they tackling this dude?
Give me the football in that situation
Hell
because
yeah.
I can lean on them a whole lot more than they can hit me.
Fucking love that.
Yeah, see, I was because you were saying Zeke was must-watch TV. Whenever I was watching you play, I thought you were must-watch TV because either you're gonna get a big-ass run or you're gonna run a motherfucker over.
Or
So-
he was going to jump over somebody.
Yeah. So my question is just how good did it feel to know that basically no fucking linebacker could touch you because you were so big at that
Oh
time?
man, it felt real good. But I had stiff competition in practice. I mean, I was going against the James Laurinaitis, Marcus Freeman, Larry Grant, Austin Spittler. So we had a good linebacking core at Ohio State. So that made it easier, knowing James was the best linebacker in the country. So if I could do it versus James, shit, you think somebody else is gonna stop me out here in the country? Nah, it ain't happen.
I think that's such a huge thing is the competition. Like you said, every room stacked, bro. So like if you can beat the guys at home base,
Right.
there ain't no one touching
Everything
you.
else is easy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yo, then did coach basically have to tell you guys to calm it down a little bit, or what was that like?
One thing about Tress, man, is in practice and training camp, throughout the year,
We competing.
you were competing and you banging.
Yeah, you
There's
banging.
no back down.
Oh, no. It's definitely not like it is right now to where guys, you get a couple of days and take the rest of the week and chill. No, you are banging full bore, best on best, and going at it. That competition factor was at a completely different level when Tressel was a coach. I don't know how it is now because I don't go to a whole lot of practices and see him, competing at that level, but it was different. So when game time came around, that was easy. That was the easy part because you had went through the ringer in practice.
Yeah. You was definitely separating the pits from the poodles.
So you was a poodle, huh? You was a poodle.
Hey,
That was too easy. You
I was always a dog. Always.
That was some good stats. You were really lobbing that up for Beanie. Really
Appreciate that.
I wish I would like to know every single guy's career stats against Michigan. If we could break that down. Like how many yards they had, how many touchdowns they had. Because I know his is crazy.
Yeah, that's one of prior to meeting Beanie, I feel like when anybody would mention his name, it was always Michigan highlights. Bro.
Yeah.
It's just like you stepped up in those moments so big. But to your point when you was on the show last time when you talked about having that conversation with Troy about hey man, this is where you make your name at. Speak on that real quick, because I think if somebody missed that conversation prior to the 1 versus 2 is epic.
Yeah, man, and that's something that I had the great fortune of it being ingrained in my head since the beginning. Yeah. So I knew when Michigan game came around, what time it was. It was the night before the game, 1 versus 2. Troy and Pitt were roommates, and me and Pitt were always super tight, so I was always hanging out in the room. And Troy, right before the game was like, "Hey, I'm in the room chilling. If you make a big play in this game, you got an opportunity to etch yourself in stone in Ohio State history forever. This is the biggest Ohio State Michigan game we've ever played. If you make one big play, people are going to know who you are for the rest of your life."
Change the life.
And I just carried that with me, and not just because it was the 1 versus 2, because it was Michigan, and I understood the magnitude of that moment. And growing up in the 90s, watching Ohio State lose to Michigan, and I know what that pain felt like as a fan, as a young kid watching. I didn't want that on my watch.
Chills thinking about it, bro. This is epic.
Yeah. So it was a crazy time, man. A good moment for sure.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Talk about let's go all time real quick. Who's obviously Archie is Archie.
Mm-hmm.
Archie is clearly obviously number one. Who are other guys you guys think about? I don't know how you can't mention Eddie, right? So it's maybe talk about Eddie real quick, because obviously you probably watched him growing up.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Eddie George was just a straight man. He had a
legitly,
legit.
You see him in person, you're
big dude, 6'3",
shoulder pads out here,
right? 240, can run like the wind. And then, it wasn't like he was just this big shifty cat. It was the one cut, foot in the ground, and go. He was going to run you over, or he was going to outrun you.
Yeah.
And I think in the 90s, that was an era and a style of football that we just all became accustomed to seeing with running backs. You go back not only to the Eddies here at Ohio State, but you go back to Nebraska. Where they had Lawrence Phillips.
Yep.
You watch those guys run the football. They were big backs. They were going to make you miss, and they were going to just run like the wind. So for me, growing up watching Eddie George, that's who I wanted to emulate.
I was just going to ask that.
Exactly who I
was there any a time where he came back and was giving you tips or talking to you like that?
Man, so I fumbled the ball a lot my freshman year. Now I can remember vividly after the Illinois game. We almost lost that game. That was the one game we almost lost that year, which is the 1 versus 2 season. After the game, I remember I fumbled the ball. After the game, I remember texting Eddie. He's like, "Man, I got to do something, man. I can't keep fumbling this rock." And he said, "Man, you better focus. And all week long, you need to have a football with you everywhere you go on campus.
Love it.
In the classroom, at home to take a shit. Wherever you go, you need to have that football with you." So that was his advice that he gave me.
Is that what you did?
Oh, absolutely is what I did.
So people see you on campus
I had a ball.
He ain't fumbling no more.
Right. And it's funny because I don't know if y'all remember the movie The Program.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was in the program. So basically, he just told me what Omar Epps had to do in the program.
Right. Yeah.
But I did it and it worked. And people were trying to rip it out wherever I went. And man, that's some advice he had given me. But another running back that I love that a lot of people don't give credit to
KB.
is not even KB. KB is different too.
KB is different.
But I'm just talking about from my childhood, Mike Wiley.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Mike Wiley.
Mike was a beast. When you talk about a shifty dude, that baggy number 5 jersey moving all around.
Mike Wiley really wasn't that big. Neither,
No, he wasn't.
Right? That's the thing.
No.
He was super.
Yeah.
He put the ball in his hand in space. He was going to make people miss
about
and get
Mike
jiggy.
Wiley.
Yeah, Mike was a beast.
Yeah.
And that's what I was kind of talking
right
about.
after Eddie? Where's he fall at in the lot? Where's Mike Wiley?
Now, I don't know because
that's
there's
what
a bunch of those guys like Robert Smith, Mike Wiley, Raymond Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, all those guys are just bunched in that group.
Yeah.
So
That's why I say it's so hard to name your favorite guy because there's so many guys that come through, and it's so many guys kind of you kind of forget about because this guy had his great career, this guy had his great career. It's so hard, man.
It's tough when you come
the running back position
Heisman Trophy winner.
Exactly.
That's the standard.
Yeah.
At that point in life, it was good, but there's always gonna be a but until it's so far away from it. And then you're like, okay, this guy's so great. Like, damn, what about Raymond? What about Robert? And things like that.
Yeah, Raymond was good too.
That's always tough.
Yeah. What about you guys? Retro backs? Anybody?
I mean,
they were so young.
I was kind of so
man.
young. I mean, if you think about it, my super retro back is Maurice. You know, for real. That was
your retro back is
Beanie.
3.
Beanie is the first back. Yeah.
That's true. What about you? Who'd you grow up with? But
I mean,
obviously Mo is
yeah, but Eddie George, you know what I'm saying? Obviously watching him, Mike Wiley, obviously. I mean, Reese was.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched him from third grade up, watching him. And then obviously, I mean, Pitt and Beans, like watching them, right before I got here. I mean, those were the guys. It's like I want to continue the great legacy like these guys. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a part of that. So just name a few. But Eddie George, obviously, he was the guy that, like Beans was saying, growing up in the '90s, and you seen him doing his thing, man. He was definitely the guy that we all kind of looked up to for sure.
Speak about Pitt real quick. Like, what's some of the things you picked up from Pitt, or just like being the way he ran, just like any of that type of stuff?
I mean, just being hard nosed.
Yeah.
Pitt is like quintessential Northeast Ohio, blue collar. I'm gonna work my ass off type of dude.
Yeah.
And that's how he carried himself around the facility. That's how he carried himself in games. It was one time, we're in a game, and I think Pitt had like 4 carries, and he's visibly tired, like breathing. You can see him, his hands on his knees. And I'm like, Doc, put me in the game. He was like, nope, because he ain't that tired. And what do you know? He gets 2 more carries and goes for like 30 yards on the last carry. I'm like, damn, I thought he was really tired, but he really was, but he just had that dog and that fire in him that I'm gonna keep on going no matter what. You call him my name, you call him my number, I'm gonna give you what you want.
Love it. Cool.
Well, I was gonna say the funny thing about that is even now he's still like that, because I remember like it was one of the times we were in the gym and he's doing farmers carries, and I'm like, oh, like basically he was like eyeing me up, like, am I gonna talk to him? I go, you mind if I just hop in with you? That motherfucker carried it for like 15 minutes. He kept stacking on fucking plates, like testing me and shit. He still got that.
Man, for sure.
That's so good. Where talk about Cardale. I'm gonna shift to you real quick. Give us something else about Zeke that stands out, other than obviously like the stuff on the field, like another quarterback. Talk about like what would you see that would just like blow you away? Is it side to side? Is it straightaway speed? Like what's like one of the major things that is like next level shit for him?
If you're talking about like attributes on a football field, I think it's his shiftiness.
Okay.
The way he is able to set up blocks and get out of tight situations. You look at some of those runs for the national championship game. Really, I think Zeke really took off and added to those stats and padded them as the following year. Yeah. You look at when we opened up versus Virginia Tech, then Hawaii, and things he did at Indiana. I think he rushed over 200 yards. I think he had like 2 or 3 200-yard games that year. But his shiftiness and understanding how to set up blocks and understand things like that. I mean, he was so engraved in the game as a student. You can ask him anything about his runs, right? And I know one thing I'm struggling with now is teaching my nephew how to prepare, right? Like, for example, let's say inside zone versus over front. Well, he know backside A or backside B might not be there because of the 3 technique. And if you do get there, it's probably going to be a tackle for a loss or a holding call. Mm-hmm. So we may know front side A to backside B is your read versus an under or over.
I got that.
They do not know what you're talking about. And the people that's watching don't know either.
That's what I'm saying.
They're going to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, we was locked in. I was like, I got
but
that.
how in detail Zeke is coming out the huddle and seeing that now, he already knowing that, okay, my front side A ain't there. I might have just had to bite it and take the backside A and get my 2-3 yards, right? Instead of the home runs and things like that. Like,
what's a front side A?
I don't have to draw it up. Jesus Christ. But
this is where the extra
little things like that.
Hold on, we got drum boy right there now.
Little things like that kind of open up a lot that I'm really like, man, this dude is a workaholic, man. He understands that, right? So that's what really impressed me more. He's a true student of the game outside of everything you see what he can do, right? But, like that 2-yard run could have been a 4-yard loss if he would have did this. Like, little things. If he wasn't
prepared the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Exactly, man. He's just not a robot. He's not a guy that, hey, this is the way it's going to go. And like, okay, let's do it this way. Like, he challenges it. He tests it. And like, we understand there's more ways to skin a cat. So that's what really impressed me about him.
That's why I was saying it's easy for a running back to just run the ball. But when you understand all the little things, like you're saying, what's a backside A? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to go in there and watch film and understand and like really learn the defense and like know like, okay.
Too. Y'all blew it out for me.
Boom, was that something like you were also good at?
I wasn't the greatest at it, to be honest with you. Obviously I got better going on, but like Beans to tell you, like my freshman year, I struggled so hard because I was learning so much. It's so much to learn and understand. When you get to that level of playing at at Ohio State is just different, you know. But when you get good at it and you got it and understand it, that's when you can play fast.
Yeah,
and that's the main thing when you playing running back or any position. You know, it's so much that's going on. I mean, granted, you got 100,000 people yelling. You know what I'm saying? Then you have to understand what the defense is doing. Then you got to understand your job of the play, of executing the play. So it's a lot that goes into it. Like I say, running the ball is the easy part. Understanding everything else is like, it's work.
Well, in high school, you can get away because you're probably one of the best athletes.
The
best athlete on the field at that given time.
Exactly.
So you can be like, oh, I don't know the backside A. I'm going to run by him anyway.
In high school, you just playing a game.
You just playing. You look at the
college.
things that really separate guys at the next level.
Exactly.
It's not ability. I tell people all the time, it's the learning curve. Right? Yeah. That's what it is. It's how fast you can adapt to this new information and can you apply it on the field. Exactly. Because if you can't, you go out there and play slow or you don't know where you at and you look like you can't play. And then you're going to have that one guy who make that crazy play. You're like, man, why you don't do this every time? Because he don't know. Right? Because it's the learning curve. He's still learning or he not putting in the time, effort, and energy to really know what he got to do. Right? It's what really separates guys. I mean, you look at all these guys, I'm like, these guys are great. Like,
I got to take a quick break, man.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Do your thing, B.
Oh, yeah, do your thing.
Wait, so Boom. So like, what do you think was your separator?
Man, watching a lot of film and just picking up different little things off of, if it was watching film on myself or watching film on other players, just seeing how they ran the ball or picking up blitzes or just learning different fronts, different coverages. Like it's so much that goes into it, man. Like you got to have an edge on the defense. You got to have the edge on the other team. And Cardale, you know, like it's just all about learning stuff and just playing fast. The main thing is being able to know what you're doing and playing fast. Because, like you said, if you out there and you don't know what you're doing, and if you can't read a coverage and you can't read a front and understand that, like you're gonna get hit in the backfield before you even get the ball because you can't even read the front, the coverage to know when a blitz is coming, and then the play is set up to go a certain way. So obviously a defense is going to do something to try to mess up that play. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to know how to navigate all of that, all in that one simple moment of it can happen in like that.
If you're truly prepared, then you can play at the speed that you need to execute against other players that good.
Absolutely.
That everybody's good.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
At a certain point, it's from the neck up.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you take it to the next level, right? You have guys are so good, right? So you may be breaking the huddle with 3 plays, and that's versus 3 different looks. Now, if you're not film study,
trying to read that, at the
you got
line.
to check.
Yeah.
You got to check.
Yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
you playing with Tom Brady, you know, and he check. And you got to know all this stuff. Why the defense is moving around, shifting, the line is moving this way. Okay, you got to know all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's the part like I really enjoy though as playing a sport, especially as a quarterback. You got the ultimate control over the success of the offense when it comes to, well, getting them in position for success. Granted, I throw the ball, he dropped it. I ain't got no control of that.
Yeah.
But when you get those things in the huddle, like I said, I love to have double and triple plays because now to me, it's letting the coach know, like, hey, he trusts me.
And he has control.
Yeah, he trusts me. I got the control of it. He trusts my film study, like Boone just said. He trusts the preparation, like he just said. And I'm knowing that, okay, boom, the first play is versus the underfront. The second play is versus the overfront. The third play is versus blitz zero. Right, and it may be an Omaha like you hear Peyton Manning. It may be a check like freaking Tom Brady, or it may be like an Oscar or Orange, or we flipping the play. Versus, and these are all versus one or two things that one or two players may be doing or aligned.
Do you have that ability at O State too, or is that just
Ohio State? We had double plays. We always had a blitz zero check in every pass protection, so we needed to know that. So if the defense for some reason came out in a zero look, and then we had a play called Astro on, we need to know where our free hitter is going to be. We need to know where we're going to drip to. We need to know what routes convert to what to beat that blitz zero.
Blitz zero would be they're bringing the extra guy.
They bring an extra guy. It's no one deep bringing an extra guy.
Yo, whenever you were what's one team's defense that was like the hardest for you to prepare for, just because of
college
how many, let's just go college. Let's go college.
College, I would have to say, who had a really tough defense. Far as structurally at the time, it was a team up north.
That's all.
And
So I'm gonna cut you off real quick.
Yeah, we noticed.
I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Because I want to explain to the people, like, when it comes to that game,
You got your own game plan for that.
whatever you saw
All
the
year.
whole year,
Throw it out.
you're not.
Throw it out. We have
It's gonna be a whole new
everything.
You don't have to see
everything.
anything.
Everything
We
new.
gotta like I don't know
Ohio
if you guys
State-
do. We had Michigan periods.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So all throughout the year, like, you know, people kind of ask, like, you know, what are you doing to prepare for the game? You got it could be Iowa week, it could be Penn State week. You're gonna have a period where we're doing something for the Michigan game.
Yep. If it's a certain run, if it's a certain
Certain
formation,
run, some type of conditioning,
Yep,
some type of
exactly.
something. You know,
So, I
it's
think
like,
theirs
all right,
was the top.
we doing this for the Michigan game. You know,
Yeah.
And but I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't cut
you
off.
hit the nail on the head because it's always going to be something that you didn't prepare for. Always going to be something that they didn't do all year. So that always killed it when it came to preparation. But you try to prepare as best as you can for those type of situations, and then you also have like some of your base running games or plays that's going to be decent versus almost anything that you see, right? So they were always tough to prepare for mentally when it came to the film study aspect thing because you already knew he was going to get something different.
Yeah.
So would you say it was the best? It was the hardest defense.
The hardest
right?
defense to prepare for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because we got two of the guys on the list, we should hit them with a question. If you guys got one, Trey, we'll start with you.
So, growing up an anti-Ohio State person, my dad was a huge Houston Oilers and Tennessee Titans fan. So I always had the most respect for Eddie George. But then watching you guys and talking shit to my friends at school, it was always the running back that was going to be the difference maker in that season. They would always talk about, you know, this running back, whatever. Like that was the key to success. So what's it like just like being a larger than life, like knowing that you're impacting the season of a team that's that successful every year? Like you are the key to success.
I mean, I think that's why you come to Ohio State because, you know, your role is going to be very huge. I mean, especially at the running back. I mean, every position is important, but, you know, Ohio State is known for their running backs, you know, to be great. You know, so it's like for our season to be good, you know, the first and the second string running back have to play big, have to play well. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah, piggybacking off what he said, I mean, you understand coming into Ohio State, you know, what the task is. And if you get an opportunity to be the starting running back, you know damn well how good you better be and how, you know, much of the team success is going to ride on your performance and what you do. Now, it can be a lot of pressure at times for some guys, but, you know, understanding that you're at Ohio State for a reason. And
You're signing up for this, man.
Exactly.
Come on.
mean, you're not here just to be chopped liver. You're here to be one of the best.
Yeah.
And you're here to put on the best performances.
Yeah.
So you know that going into it, and you just take that head on. You take it in stride, and you go out and you do your best. Now, it does feel good when you walk around campus and everybody knows who you are. You know, everybody in the country is talking about you because they know you're a marquee guy, a marquee player on the team. All that feels great.
When you're fumbling against Illinois, feels weird though, huh?
Say it again.
When you're fumbling against Illinois,
Exactly. It feels terrible.
Yeah.
So you better perform up to the standard that has been set here by the guys before you. Because if not, then you're going to be just another guy.
It could be
and,
ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be talked about as just being
I
another
think
guy.
what a lot of
Disappointment,
like
rather.
fans think about Beanie is that pressure. They have a hard time identifying like that you would want that, right? Because they're watching it, they're cheering for it, but they're also the first one to cheer and then be a hater, right?
Right.
Treadway's a real good hater. So it's like, but one of those things that like I think to hear somebody go, wait, they that's what they was asking for. You know what I mean? And I think that confidence is different. Like when Cardale was on the show as the main guest, he was talking about how there was no other quarterbacks behind him.
Right.
He's just letting it fly, bro. So there's no one looking over his shoulder. Who is the next quarterback in line?
I mean,
He's a wideout.
Jalen Marshall.
There you
Jalen
go.
Marshall, yeah.
They was stuck with him.
Right.
So he got no one. He was just letting it go. So it's like, but that's the moment where you're like, this is why I came here. And so I think when people hear that, they're like, oh, okay. You know, but that's not how a lot of people think. So I think it's cool to hear as a fan to be like, yeah, that's why they're signing up for.
I think they lose, like people sometimes lose the I can't say that for nothing.
Authenticity.
What is the word?
Authenticity. Of us.
Authenticity?
Yes.
Hey,
us.
let's go.
The reason why we started playing this game, it was never, I don't know about you guys. I didn't start playing this game at 7 years old and say, I cannot wait and to have all that pressure on me. I want to have fun. I want to compete. I want to play with my boys, right? I want to win, right? So when the fans think that we ask for certain things, I mean, naturally, it comes with the territory, right? Nice. But I guarantee you, we would have been just as happy playing at Ohio State if no games was televised, if we was freaking, well, I don't know about that part. But if like, you know, if fans couldn't be there and we just pretty much, we used to say this saying all the time when Urban was there with us, like we like play in the backyard. Meet us in the parking lot. Like we don't need all that. We just want to play. We want to win and want to compete. They want to hurt somebody for the most part. So like all the other stuff with the sport, it just naturally comes with it. So like it's not like I get up every day to say I cannot wait to walk around campus and they gonna be screaming my name. It comes with the territory, right? So that's a very thin line.
Yeah, no, for sure. Sea Liver.
Obviously, for many positions, when you're a performer like a quarterback, a running back, a wideout, there's so many contributing factors. Like if people you're dependent on a team prepared properly for whoever you're playing that week, whatever the selection is. Beanie mentioned like playing later in the season, if it's cold, if it's wet. Out of any and all those things, if it's your line blocking for you, if it's the coaches felt like they prepared you the right way, is there one thing that you guys were hoping went right to where in your mind you're like, all right, if I got this one factor today that goes my way, I'm going to have a day?
No, not for me. I mean, I just went into every game thinking that
I hope the weather's terrible.
Just give me the damn football. Like T.O. said, just give me the damn ball and just let me go do what I do. So it wasn't like I had to make sure that the weather was great or I had to make sure this guy was going to be on. I knew when I got the ball that I was going to make an impact. I was going to try to be better than the man that was trying to tackle me. So that's all I needed.
Man, give me the motherfucking ball. That's what he's saying. Simple. I love that. Boom.
I mean, same thing. I mean, I just wanted to get the rock. My biggest thing was I never wanted to fumble or like make a mistake. So, you know, or like miss a read or, you know what I'm saying? So it was like I always wanted to play a perfect game. I know it was almost impossible to play a perfect game, but our standards are so high. Yeah. And, you know, you get so much pressure and expectations, and you want the guys that came before you to, you know what I'm saying? You want a ball. So it's like, you know, I always just wanted to play great. So,
but the thin line of playing, like what Cardale said, somebody over your shoulder or potentially scared, though, can also limit you, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you balance that line, though? That's tricky because you don't want to make a mistake because you don't want to get yanked.
Well, that's why you practice so hard during the week. You know, you prepare. You know what I'm saying? We grind all week. So when it comes to the game, it's just it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not easy, but
it's reactionary.
You want it to be smooth.
Makes sense. Trevon.
Yeah, so when we did the top 10 quarterbacks, we talked about which quarterback then transferred over and played the best in the NFL. So I'm curious who you guys think is the best running back then that transferred over to the NFL.
I mean, it's hands. I mean, Zeke. I mean, he's had a crazy career. I think he had the rushing record 2 times.
I think once or twice. I can't
once
remember.
or twice.
But I think on that list you look at, I think
he's got the
Zeke
best.
Or J.K.
Yeah.
J.K. coming off injury.
Well, no, I mean,
when he's going. I guess I don't know.
Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
There you go. Zeke. I mean, obviously, you look at Zeke's numbers. He had the most stable career since the backs from the 2000s. But I mean, Carlos Hyde has been productive wherever he's been.
Somebody look up how long Carlos Hyde been.
I think he played 8 years.
I think like 8 or 10.
I want to say he played 8 years, and he's been productive wherever he's been. He's not always been the number one guy, but he's been very productive.
But he's been in the lineup.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm just genuinely curious, like, what's your guys' favorite, like, Ohio State tradition? Whether it's, like, something the football team did, it's more of, like, a fan thing, a team dinner.
Team dinner, you get the pecan rolls. That's the only time you can get them. That's the best.
What was it?
You get the pecan rolls at the.
Do they still do that?
I hope so.
Yeah, they still do it.
What the hell is it? What is it?
So
it's these sticky buns.
Yeah.
Boom, you could probably explain it better than myself.
Yeah, I mean,
watch it.
So
what's happening out here?
Home games, we have like a team meal Friday evening
at the golf course.
At the golf course, and at the golf course they always had these pecan rolls.
Okay.
And you always had to get them. I mean, they were fresh out. They was Butter it up.
Smiling like crazy.
Because you know what's so crazy?
We tripping on these rolls, I guess.
Hey, I wish I could get one.
I need to break the
I
diet
haven't
for
had
one
one
of these.
in years.
Me either.
You know, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the place Perkins.
Kinda.
You know Perkins?
Restaurant?
Yeah.
So Perkins used to always have them too. They wasn't like the Ohio
You mean like the
State
Waffle House, Perkins?
Yeah, like little.
Yeah, okay.
But when I was a little kid, it seems like they used to always have the pecan rolls at Perkins, and that's what it used to always remind me of. But it wasn't nothing like the ones at Ohio State. I don't know what the hell they was putting on the ones at Ohio State. what they was putting in them. Oh, I mean, everybody was trying to walk out with a couple of them. You know what I'm saying?
Hilarious.
Like the food was okay, but you was looking forward to that pecan roll.
That's hilarious.
Is that your main one too then?
Just for me, the whole Michigan week is just everything. I mean, you get to, after you play your game Saturday and then you come back into the facility and you got the whole place decorated and the Michigan stuff, and then you have the band come in on Sunday, you get to play with them, and then you have all the coaches, like different coaches. Coach Bruce used to come in. At the time, Jack Tatum used to come in. I think that was like it just gets you going. Like, so that's what it was for me.
Does Michigan week rival like a national championship type of week? Like, does it feel, because there's so much going up around it? Like, I don't know, like from a media, from a, like, because it seems like we make such a big deal.
No, I think the hype around it, it don't compare to the national championship.
Yeah, I
it's
just
the
wondered.
last game of the season.
Yeah.
Media, it don't compare because you got designated media days and crap.
Got it.
But the intensity is very similar.
There
to
you go.
both. I think it's yeah. But I think my favorite tradition is the school session, walking and getting ready for home games. I think that was one of my first experiences as a recruit with Ohio State. Kind of getting there, just coming from, I think, like Cincinnati from a football game the night before Friday, and just made it to the game and just had time to watch the last few guys walking down and, heading over to the stadium, then seeing them walk over to the stadium. Like, that's sweet. So I enjoyed that.
Yo, what was it like whenever you guys won the Natty? What was that like, the celebration afterwards? Was that cool?
It was cold. That's what it was cold as heck. It was cool. Yeah. Like, we did kind of a parade thing, and then went over to the shoe and it had a stage set up, and you talked. It was cool, but I mean, I wouldn't call it a tradition because it got to happen more often.
I was just curious.
Yeah. Well, I think, Boom, you got anything else?
Would y'all want to re-rank this?
I was going to say, should we re-rank?
Yo, I would go top 5.
Yeah,
top 5.
Should we everybody give their top 5?
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of pressure on this.
Yeah.
I go last.
We should go with the
in
hater
no
of the
order
group first. Should we go with the hater of the group first?
Well, you got to go in order, though. You got to give.
You want to go in order?
Yeah, I'll go
Yeah,
order for sure.
Top 5. Yeah, of course.
All right.
No, I meant like Treadway's going to have the most unbiased, haterish top 5.
So,
Boom wants to really give his top 5. Go ahead, Boom.
Yeah,
well, for my thing, I mean, you can go by stats, or you could just
Go by your heart.
Go by your heart.
I just had this argument. I just had this argument about stats when it came to stuff like this with some buddies.
And when you grew up.
And
too,
hold
it's tough.
on. And you have to, you got to think, like, some of these guys played in the Trestle era. Yeah. Some guys played
impact on game. Right. That's where I'm going. My top 5 is going to be based on impact. Not stats, not what you did, who was your coach. Impact on game. If that running back was in the game, what did we have to do, or how did we have to change our game plan to say, where is that guy?
Right. See,
that's what I'm going off of.
See, it's
I think it's heavily impacted on when you were like middle school, high school too. I just think at the end of the day, everybody roots for the guy they looked up to. It's
well, you can't say that. I mean? No,
I know, but I think it's the art, though. That's
I got a huge argument to that.
Please.
You got kids right now who's 10, 11 years old. Me, myself, I never seen Michael Jordan play, but you ask me who the best player is, I'm going to say Michael Jordan. So I don't think it's who you grew up watching. I think you're talking about impact on the game. Yeah. That's where my top 5 is going to be based.
How you going to even say Michael Jordan if you never seen him play?
Well, I'm talking about far as like highlights, but like I'm talking about sit down and watch the game. Oh man, he just dropped 40 on no people. No.
All right, I agree with Corey. I think Treadway, the hater, the Ohio State hater, should be in the top 5 because this is purely unbiased.
All right, so speaking on the Michigan, statistics I gave earlier, crazy stat about J.K. Dobbins is that he never missed a game in his entire 3-year career. So, Cardale, you talked about longevity and availability. So, number 1, I'll go J.K. Number 2 is Zeke. Number 3, Beanie. 4, Pitt, and 5, Boom.
Whoa, I made the top 5.
That's love, right?
Because
that's real love.
Hey, Boom made the
real
top
love.
5. He's the first Ohio State player I ever cheered for. I was yelling Boom during those Colts playoff games. So that's my Boom.
I appreciate that.
There we go.
Point Page, you would say that shit.
Mine's slightly different, and I totally understand Cardale's take, but I mean, just the recency bias of what I do remember watching definitively makes such a big difference, and especially kind of like what Treadway was saying with the Michigan rankings as well. I got to go number 1, Zeke. Number 2, I'll go J.K. That performance, he's just got so many stats. I'll go Beanie, Carlos Hyde, and Boom.
There you go. That's me. Y'all being biased.
I'm going off my heart.
You go from the heart, Trey.
So number 5, I'm gonna go Pittman. Number 4, I'm gonna go Carlos Hyde. And I got J.K. Dobbins, Zeke Elliott. And then number 1, I'm gonna go Beanie because he's the most nostalgic to me.
See
that, man.
Hey.
Yep. I'm also going to say, just simply because I used to watch the 2005 and 06 Ohio State highlights all the time, Beanie's my number 1. That's my heart feeling right there. Then also high school, got to go Zeke. Then J.K. Also, slight J.K. He has one of the best calls from Gus Johnson of J.K. all day. So you got to throw that in there. Got to note that.
Gus Johnson.
And then I'm going to finish it out with I loved Carlos Hyde too. After every run, he'd get up and flex.
There you go.
Really enjoyed that. And then, yeah, of course, got to go Boom.
Cardo, you said impact on games, right?
Yeah.
So, I'll be 45 this year. So the 02 season or 01 when they won the first title with Tress, right, is like such an impactful season. And I think when Maurice stole the ball back from Sean Taylor, right? Mm-hmm. Shout out Sean Taylor, rest in peace. That impact in that game in general, I think reignited Ohio State excitement in general, right? Cooper's years was a little rough. And Tress then brings this whole new thing, and these guys, and there's like 60 pros on the field between Miami and that. They're 2 years undefeated as they win. To me, everyone wishes Mo would have had more time, but he didn't. But his still impact was so crazy that year. To me, Maurice is number 1, actually. Like if we talk about that, I think. Then what's happened past Maurice, it was like, outside of like Eddie, because we're looking at these younger guys, it's like Beanie, I think, comes right up on number 2 for me. I think that Pitt is number 3 because Pitt is like underrated but was so good, and you guys validated that. And then I really look at like Zeke and Boom, 4 and 5. Zeke is longevity and the amount of rushing yards. I'm biased because I never really watched JK that much. That's kind of the problem with me. Like when I went to the Baltimore, I was excited to watch him as a pro because I thought he really fit in well with that offense. But part of it is when I was building my business, I wasn't watching a lot of football sometimes. And previous to that was the main thing. So it's like when I'm thinking about the guys I felt that impacted it so great when I was watching it, and part of that's time frame, and part of that's just like literally the way I felt. But Maurice seemed like he set it on fire again, out of nowhere. Good Ohio story, crushes it, and then you guys come after and Pitt and just continue Ohio guys and keep pushing like that. So that's my top 5. I'm excited to hear you guys. Should we go to Cardale? He looks like he's itching.
I don't think
he don't need a list. He knows the list.
And he took the kind of words right out of my mouth. I'm thinking about impact, thinking about somebody you had to prepare for, somebody it was coming. No offense to that national championship team. I don't think I was too scared to make them pass the ball. So I'm going with Corrette.
Yeah.
1 for me.
Me and you aligned on that.
Zeke is number 2 because I played with him. I knew the impact he had. I'm going to go with Beanie, number 3. And then Boom, don't worry about it. You won't make this list.
I already do that.
No, I'm going with 4 is JK, and then 5 is Boom. Just because I love that. Just because I want to get invited again. And I think I can actually, with my 2 and 3 can be easily switched them depending on what day I'm feeling with Beanie and Zeke, because the impact these guys have. But like I said before, it was times where you knew we was running the ball with Zeke, couldn't stop it. And I think some of the things that you guys were doing, especially that Team Up North game 14-7, it's like this, y'all know we about to run the ball and you still can't stop it. So
me and you lined up good.
Impact.
All right, Beanie.
So I'm gonna go impact as well. And guys that, like you just said, when the team knows what you're gonna do and they can't stop you, and then also in the biggest moments.
There you go.
Right? Who rises to the occasion in the biggest moments? It's not all about the numbers for me, but who, when the game is on the line, you can turn to and say, "Oh, this guy's gonna ball."
Yeah.
I got to go Zeke number 1, and he was must-watch TV for me. Number 2, because he was must-watch TV and made a big impact, but it was just so brief. I got to go Claret. Then number 3, I got to go Pitt. Pitt is the undervalued guy, but when everything is going wrong, right or wrong, who you can count on.
Yep.
You can count on Antonio Pittman to be right there. So that's my 3. Number 4, this is tough. It's real tough, man, because I like J.K. Dobbins a lot. I really do, but I love Carlos Hyde a lot. So those 2 individuals are very tough for that 4 spot for me. Both of them have, had a tremendous impact on Ohio State history. But I probably got to give Los the edge in that one for me. So I go Carlos Hyde. And then 5, my other man right here next to me. Hey. He going to bring it. And that's what it's about for me. Guys is going to bring it day in, day out, and you know what you're going to get. So, Boom Herron.
Hell yeah. Boom, you really have 32 touchdowns, huh? Is that ChatGPT right?
32.
Man, do that count what you got taken away from you?
I don't know.
I don't think it counts what you got taken away.
Yeah. I did miss 6.
You baller.
I probably missed, like, in my career at Ohio State, because the concussion year I missed 4. Then I missed 6 my senior year. I missed a lot of games. Man, top 5. Well, for me, at 1, I'm gonna go Claret, because I kind of watched Reese my whole life, 2, I would say probably Zeke, because he was just crazy. 3, I'm gonna go with Beans, because me and Beans, we was together like 2 years. Well, 2 years, and I watched him, and I the dude was just a dog. You know what I'm saying? 4. So what I did Claret, Zeke, Beans. I do J.K. Dobbins at 4, and then I put Pitt at 5. I put Pitt at 5 because Pitt was just a dog.
You gonna be 5A?
I'm leaving myself out.
58.
Man. I'll leave myself out.
If you had to rank yourself, where are you putting you?
Probably 6.
Yeah.
I left myself out.
Yeah,
too. I put myself at number 1. Shit.
That's what I like to hear, B.
16. That's 6.
Yeah. That's good. Well, first off, I appreciate just this dialogue was just unbelievable, right? I think the fans will really enjoy it. It was awesome having you guys. Sounds like we need to have Pitt on.
For sure.
You know what? I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, we should have had, instead of this bum over here, probably should have had Pitt come on.
I got this late substitution.
He got a ring over there.
Cardale back.
Hey.
Pitt couldn't make it. Bring Cardale back.
We're going to run it back, though.
Yeah.
We're going to run it back and bring Pitt on.
No pun intended. Running back. I see you.
He's getting good at this podcast thing, Cardale.
You gonna be here as well. Duh. But yeah, I think this was good. I appreciate you, Beanie.
Oh, no doubt.
Always appreciate you, Cardale. Boom Squad, Cory G.
Hey, this was good.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all share it with your friends. Tell all your friends about it. The Boomcast is real out here, brought to you by MaxEffortMuscle.com. And we are out. Peace.